room right now. It's a crazy world, Paul. It's a crazy world.
Yeah, it's broadcasting now.
So good morning, everyone. We're just going to wait for a few quick seconds until you're let into the room.
Okay. All right, well, I'm going to start and then people will sign in. So good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. I want to thank you all for joining the CEO Forum series that we have. Today, we're highlighting Paul Pachter and Long Island Cares. I've said this in person, now I'll say it on Zoom. The CEO series forums are probably one of my favorite programs that we have. With each program, we get to really hear from a CEO, but also their insights on success and also the struggles they've had to go through. So there's a lot that we learned during our CEO Forum series. So I'm very happy to open on this wonderful Monday, a wonderful program. So before we begin, though, I do want to thank and introduce one of our sponsors. Sponsors are the lifeblood of any organization, whether you're not-for-profit or any other chamber or us. Those sponsors are what make us go around. So I want to introduce Lisa Mitnick, the Senior Manager in Business Development from People's Alliance Federal Credit Union, which is a gold sponsor of the HIA-LI. Lisa?
Good morning. Thank you, Anthony. I hope everyone is healthy and doing well, and I'm proud to say that People's Alliance Federal Credit Union has been a part of the HIA for over 25 years. I'm delighted to be here and to be given the opportunity to speak to you about People's Alliance Federal Credit Union, which is celebrating its 80th anniversary. I'm happy to say that we're open for business. If you or any of your coworkers or staff members are in need of a loan, please contact me or Angela Perrone. We're currently assisting our members that are having difficulties as a result of the pandemic through loan deferments. Some of the loan programs we find most helpful right now are debt consolidation, our Members' Choice loan, and an amazing car loan promotion with Enterprise Car Sales with rates as low as 2.99%. If we can assist you with any of our products or services, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
We appreciate everything you do.
Thanks.
So now it is my pleasure to introduce not only the President and CEO of the HIA-LI, but someone who has been a true leader through this whole COVID period that we're in and coming out of, and that would be Terry Elisi-Maselli.
Thanks, Anthony, and good morning, everyone. Hope you are staying healthy and safe through this, and Long Island strong. Know that the HIA-LI has been with you every step of the way, fighting the fight, disseminating really critical information as it relates to our Suffolk County COVID task force that we're involved in, as well as New York Forward, and certainly helping you now in the recovery period. All of that information, we have created a new section on our website called the coronavirus section, so you can find that all there on the website. And we continue to do virtual meetings like this to keep you informed, to keep you engaged, to find out what you need, why you need it, and to take that information back to both the federal, state, and local governments. We're excited this morning to be with one of my favorite two people, the CEO of Long Island Cares, Paul Pachter, and the partner of AVZ, Bob Corte. I will tell you, we have partnered for many, many years with Long Island Cares to do a Long Island food drive. Probably more relevant right now than ever before because of the amount of people that are out of work and food deprived. And I know Paul does a great job over there with his team. He will also be leading for us a new committee called a Social Responsibility Committee. He will be one of the co-chairs, Lee Silberman, who I believe is attending this morning. I know you can't see him, but he's there in the background, will also be a co-chair. And their mission will be to really bring together nonprofits and businesses to really create a template of how to be more social responsible in your organization. So we're very proud to be bringing that to you in September. Again, well needed. And I am going to now turn it over to Bob Corte, who is, again, as I said before, partner at AVZ, very valued board member for many, many years, a past chair as well. Before I do that, I want to tell everybody in the bottom of your screen, you'll see that you can type in the Q&A section. Please do that. We'll be watching it throughout the program to grasp your questions. If we do not get to them, we will make sure that we forward them to Paul or to Bob later on, and we get to them and we do answer them after the program. So Bob, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Terry. Good morning, everyone. First, I would like to say again, thank you to the HIA-LI. I mean, Terry, you and your staff have done a phenomenal job in disseminating information to the business community. Sometimes I think it's information overload, but I look at it every time I get an email, every time I get pinged. I just think it's phenomenal. Even though we have our struggles right now, getting through this, we're all in it together. And when we get through this, we will all be stronger than ever. So thank you again to the HIA-LI. Paul, on to you. I mean, we all know about Long Island Cares. It was founded by Harry Chapin in 1980. Certainly, he had the vision for feeding the hungry on Long Island. But as far as Paul Pachter, I see you all the time. I listen to you. I love whenever you talk. You're very measured and you're very passionate about what you do. But as the face of Long Island Cares, I don't know your background. How did you get started in the not-for-profit world? And really, what led you to Long Island Cares? You've been there for so many years and you are the face, but probably most like me don't really know your background. So please share.
Well, thank you very much, Bob. My background is in social work. I am a licensed social worker. I've been practicing here on Long Island in various capacities now for the past 41 years. So, you know, it's 4 decades of trying to help people in need, whether it was my 27 years in the mental health system here on Long Island or moving into the developmental disabilities field. But 13 years ago, I was approached by someone who was close to Long Island Cares to let me know that they were going to be looking for a new executive director, CEO, and would I be interested in applying for the position? And I really wasn't sure. I certainly was aware of Long Island Cares. I knew about the organization from the day it was founded, but I didn't know what what could I possibly bring to the table of an organization that many felt was historic because it was the first of its kind on Long Island in 1980 when Harry founded it. But then I found out that they were actually looking for a social worker. And they were looking for a social worker that had experience in community organization and social advocacy. And that was my background. And so I applied and went to, I think I was interviewed 5 times for the position. And finally, after 5 months, got the call that they'd like me to come to Long Island Cares. And the rest is, as they say, history.
Well, again, you are really a tremendous face for the organization. I didn't realize that was your background, but certainly you've plugged in very well and have fit the needs.
Thank you.
Long Island Cares, Terry talked about it before we got on the air, and that you've got a number of tractor trailers parked outside David's Drive, where you're headquartered right here in the Long Island Innovation Park at Hauppauge. Has it been good being in the park, and you are such an active member of the HIA-LI? Why is membership and being in the park been so important to Long Island Cares?
Well, I think for one, being in the innovation park is really a very positive thing. You know, we look at the innovation park here as being our community. So we know many of the other businesses. We certainly use the food court like other people do. Many corporations in the park have supported Long Island Cares for many, many years. Our building is situated in a great location on the corner of Adams Avenue and David's Drive. So a lot of people drive past the building on a daily basis. You know, being members, active members of the HIA-LI, in my opinion, that's critical. That's critical. You know, if there's an organization that is working on behalf of all its members, as actively as the HIA-LI has been doing since they formed, those are, you know, providing us with opportunities to network with other people that we may not know. In the case of Long Island Cares, I think the HIA has been extremely supportive and extremely generous. And in turn, we try to support the HIA-LI to the best of our abilities in sponsoring certain special events. Some people may know that I write a monthly column for the publication, The Reporter. And as Terry mentioned, we're going to have a new committee starting up in September on social responsibility. The timing couldn't be any more better, because we're doing a lot of talking in the country and the region about social responsibility and social justice. And, you know, historically, the nonprofits, when it comes to social responsibility, corporate support, we're usually in the position of having our hand out for support. But I think it's very important that the sector, the nonprofit sector, just don't only take. There's something we have to give back. And I think right now, many corporations are seeing exactly what food banks across the country do. And I think that's why they're responding so significantly these past 4 months to all the food banks across the country, not just Long Island Cares. Everybody's working hard, everyone's doing what they have to do. But the spotlight is on us, and, you know, from my perspective, you have to take advantage of that. And that may be why people are seeing our TV commercials on various networks. That's why you see full-page ads out in the newspaper, because we have this opportunity right now that we haven't had in the past to get our message out, to really up our game, increase our visibility so that many more people understand what we do as an organization, what our focus is, what our mission is. And, you know, all those things are possible in part because of the relationship that we have with the HIA. And, you know, it's not only the summer food drive, it's not only the special events or my column, it's having access to people like you anytime I need them, you know, for consultation and guidance. And to me, that's really the big benefit of membership.
Well, I would say you hit the nail on the head. I think social responsibility is so important. And certainly in this particular time of period, organizations such as the Long Island Cares are so important. And quite frankly, I think you've delivered, which is really important. And you've gotten a lot of good press about it, including in Newsday today. So kudos to Long Island, to you and Long Island Cares, certainly. So I think you get it, and you understand it, and people will respond in kind as time goes on. You know, being in the business community, it's probably no different than in the not-for-profit environment. We all have our ups and downs, certain days and certain periods of time. We go through recessions, we go through a pandemic. It just sometimes it seems for a while things go smooth, and then there's always bumps in the road. So I would ask you, as someone who's been around for 41 years, you've had your ups and downs, your good days and your bad days. So talk to me about what was your best day in business and your worst day.
Hmm. I guess if I had many best days. I go back, I guess it was 1988. Yeah, it was 1988. I was tapped at the time by former Nassau County Executive Tom Galata. May rest in peace. Tom just plucked me out of obscurity in Nassau County and appointed me the Deputy Commissioner of the Mental Health Department. I was 35 years old. I was the youngest Deputy Commissioner appointed. I was Tom Galata's first appointment. The department, was there since 1955, and nobody ever really made appointments. They just left it, whatever the department is doing, that's great. There's civil service tests. But here I was, 35 years old, working in the mental health field as a supervisor of an outpatient program. And, the next day I'm the Deputy Commissioner of the Mental Health Department and dealing with, county-wide policies in terms of mental illness. So that was a great day for me. Certainly coming to Long Island Cares 13 years ago, that was, to me, that was the highlight of my career. People have asked me, government or or the community sector? It's definitely the community sector. I spent 5.5 years in government. I would strongly recommend anyone to do it, but not to make it a long-term career. But it was fine. We got a lot accomplished. I don't know, in terms, I really, honestly, I don't have many, what, one would consider bad days. I get up in the morning at 5 o'clock and I live 25 miles away from Hauppauge. I get in the car and I'm here and I try to come in every morning a little earlier, talk to the staff, a lot of informal walking around the building these days, of course, with the mask. But I don't really, a challenging day, yeah, sure. How does this stack up, COVID-19? This has been hard. This has been difficult. This has been extremely challenging, and I've had a handful of bad days in the last 4 months, dealing with what's going on in the community and the demands on our time, the questions that we get, the amount of people that we're seeing, the pain that people are in here on Long Island, really primarily wanting to know, number one, if they're going to live or die. And number two, if they're going to live, are they going back to work? Are their kids going back to school? Can I get, some sense of normalcy restored to my life? So this has been very, very challenging. Unlike what I've been saying for a while now is COVID-19, Bob, represents the third major crisis that food banks in the country have had to respond to. If we keep it in our region, you go back to 2013 when we were in the midst of Hurricane Sandy, and that was, very, very challenging. But on the other hand, Hurricane Sandy impacted a specific segment of our region, the South Shore communities. Knowing what we knew about hurricanes and the long-term response when you have that much devastation as people experienced 7 years ago, we knew it was going to take a couple of years till people got back. But the end result is people were going to get back. And again, when we were dealing with Hurricane Sandy, it was 14,000 families that we had supported with food and funding and other grants for appliances. And then it was over. And we came back to, a good place. And then a few years back, we had the largest government shutdown. And again, that impacted a specific segment of the population, Long Islanders who worked for the federal government. And we were talking about a few hundred people, maybe 1,000, who would turn to Long Island Cares for food assistance. COVID-19 is completely different because, number one, it's affecting everyone, not just, the South Shore communities, not just government employees. It's affecting everyone, including our staff. So this has been a very big challenge for us, first and foremost, to focus in on our infrastructure, focus on our staff, what they need, and then move on. I don't look at this as a multi-year response. I'm hoping that, every month, perhaps every week, we can bring the curve down a little bit of the number of people who are coming for food. And we're starting to see that in some cases right now, certainly as of July. But this is going, what we're doing right now in terms of our emergency response work to COVID is going to be in place as it is today through the end of the year. We certainly, in accepting the funding that we've gotten, especially from government, it's a 6-month plan. And, we will reevaluate where we are in December, see what the numbers look like, see what the money looks like, and see if we're going to amend anything we're doing. Right now, our model, what we've decided to do here at Long Island Cares since March 13th is focus on our member agencies, of which right now there are about 320 local community food pantries that are open and providing food boxes to people in need. And then, as you know, Long Island Cares in the past 13 years has gone through some programmatic expansion. So it's not just our building in Hauppauge, it's our satellite locations in Freeport, Lindenhurst, Huntington Station, Hampton Bays. It's the pet pantry in Lindenhurst. And then on top of that, there are 19 pop-up distribution centers that we're operating primarily in Nassau County, mostly in the town of Hempstead, where we're providing emergency food to people in need. And we also have not stopped our mobile deliveries. So our mobile food pantry goes out 3 days a week. Our children's food truck is out on the weekends when programs primarily are closed. Our outreach to the homeless, we're seeing on average right now about 460 homeless individuals as the weather gets warmer. Our outreach to seniors through our SOS program, we're seeing right now about 1,850 seniors and delivering food to them on a monthly basis, and our outreach to veterans. And so we really haven't stopped anything. What we've been able to do and why we've been able to implement this response is that on March 12th, Long Island Cares employed 53 people. Today, we employ 82 people. So we have, almost doubled our staff. Most of the staff that we hired are at the distribution centers, the 19 of them, but we have quite a few people here in Hauppauge as well. We're very fortunate in that we had the satellite location, so we had office space for people to work out of. I still have college interns with us right now, and everybody's part of the COVID-19 response team. And we're going 6 days a week out of 25 locations, and then at the same time supporting our 320 member agencies who have not closed. At the height of the pandemic, going back to March, we had, at the height, it was 63 agencies were closed. Every month, gradually, they started to reopen. So right now, we only have 43 that are closed, and they're closed for good reasons. But the challenge that we've had in the past 4 months, number one, is accessing PPEs, not only for us, but for the agencies that we support, and also for the people we support. And then making sure that we had ample PPEs to keep the building safe and clean. And so, we have 2 full-time people, and all they do right now is clean our locations. Every 6 weeks, we have a professional company come in and sanitize all 6 locations, including the warehouse. Both county executives have been extremely generous with us in making PPE available to us. So I would say of all the PPE that we've brought in, we probably purchased about 20% of it. The others donated. Nassau County OEM, Suffolk County OEM, Congressman Zeldin was here a month ago with 10,000 face masks. So we're doing okay with that right now. The other thing that I'm really very proud of is that 95% of our staff, so that's like 50, everybody came to work. Nobody left. We had one person who tested positive for COVID, and that person is still out, having a hard time trying to get back. 2 members of our board tested positive for it, but that's it. Nobody else here tested positive. Some of us have been tested multiple times now because of the exposure level that we have. Look, we're going into communities with our high concentration of COVID. We're going into people's homes. So we don't know, but we're doing okay. And, speaking to my colleagues across the country, some have had more difficulty than we've had. But I think the fact that 95% of our staff in the middle of a pandemic decide to come to work, to do what we have to do, that says a lot about the culture at Long Island Cares. And therefore, we did certain things, continued to do certain things here. One of the first things I did was reduce the work week as of the week of March 13th. We're on a 40-hour work week. I reduced it to 35 hours without reducing people's pay. Just so that staff would have an additional 5 hours a week to take care of themselves and their family, that they didn't have to rush to get to work. They can go on a flex schedule. We had the ability to have people work remotely from home. Some people took advantage of that. That was fine. So being able to reduce the work week and give people some time to be at home and take care of their own needs. And then we also provided staff bonuses in May, $1,000 bonuses to all the staff that were here. And that, meant a lot to the people that work here. Not only that it shows we care, but, we value what they're doing. Everybody is putting themselves in risk, whether they're wearing masks and gloves or not. So we felt that this whole idea of hazard pay made sense for us, and we were able to secure a grant that approved that was one of the goals of the grant, to provide staff bonuses. And we also provided additional financial support to our member agencies. We sent out about $145,000 in small grants to help the agencies buy equipment, to replace equipment, to pay their staff, to pay their utility bills, whatever they needed. So it was never, when we got into COVID-19, never really about Long Island Cares per se. It was about the network. And, that's why many times in some of the articles that have been published, you'll usually find me with one of our member agencies talking to the press, because this is not my show. It's nice that we get, the recognition, but this is about, 320 organizations that have been working together. A lot of stuff, Bob, going on out on the East End and the Hamptons. They're getting really pounded with a lot of the migrant workers, the agricultural folk, the folk that are working in the hospitality industry. So they're having a rough time out there. And I'm happy that we're out there with our own satellite, but I also have a warehouse out there. So it's been easier on the East End agencies to access the food.
Well, you said a mouthful there, and I will tell you, this is certainly unprecedented. I mean, You talked about Superstorm Sandy. We can go back to the recession 08, 09. Even in those times, perhaps it wasn't necessarily life or death, and it wasn't the struggles. Even Superstorm Sandy, you knew it was a one-time occurrence. Then it was going to be getting back to some sense of normalcy as quickly as you possibly could. The recession, sometimes we don't know how long it will last, but it will turn eventually. Something like this, we don't even know when this is going to end. We don't know when there'll be a vaccine that will be effective. We don't know. Look at all the spikes in cases in Florida and other states around the country. So this is really unprecedented. And I give you and your staff tremendous credit. I didn't know that you had almost 100% participation throughout this period of time, which I think is extremely important and speaks a lot about you and the culture and your leadership at Long Island Cares, that people would feel comfortable, would want to do it, despite the challenges you must have had to make sure that people felt safe and comfortable to work. I know, even in my office and a lot of my clients and a lot of the business community, people were concerned about coming to work, period. And then you had the challenges if they had kids, young kids at home who weren't going to school. And so I give you a lot of credit. You probably don't crack the whip, but you have kind of a soft-spoken leadership, and it sounds like it filters throughout your organization. So I give you a tremendous amount of credit and the people that work there.
Thank you.
Support. I mean, you talked about the local governments, federal and local governments helping out certainly, but on a smaller level, you can't really do much in the way of fundraising. Forget about, I was always involved with your golf outing. Forget about that. Forget about dinner dance. So it's got to be very difficult to raise the money and to continue the food flow during this period of where people are quarantined. Unemployment is probably close to 400,000 on Long Island. It's got to be very difficult for you to keep the pipeline going. And just talk a little bit about those challenges and what you're doing to mitigate that. And do you go day to day, week to week, or do you have a long-term plan for that?
Well, the first thing, you said it, was you look at your special events and realize that in the middle of a global pandemic where people are trying their best not to expose themselves to any additional risk, we did in May make a decision with our board to cancel all of the special events. And it was the golf outing, and it was our annual dinner, which just so happened to be our 40th anniversary dinner. So that hurt a little bit. But it was something that had to be done because you can't, no one's going into a catering hall with 300, 400 people sitting in close proximity. And, I got to hand it to the country club that we have our golf outing at and to the folks at Bethpage State Park, the heritage there. All of them work with us. They themselves, certainly weren't surprised that we were going to cancel our events. One of the reasons, certainly we canceled the events primarily out of a concern for people's health and safety. The other reason why the decision was made, and we certainly aren't looking back, we're looking forward to seeing what we're going to do next year, is because of the amount of support that we've received over the past 4 months. The contributions from the corporate sector, from foundations, from the feds, from Feeding America, from our major donors, has been unprecedented. We have been able, and I'm not saying this to brag or anything, in the last 4 months, we've been able to raise more than we raise in 12 months. It's been that significant. Yes, there have been very large donations made to Long Island Cares. There's been several $100,000 donations There have been several $250,000 donations. Because of the $100 million donation that Jeff Bezos of Amazon made to Feeding America, that represented, close to $500,000 for Long Island Cares. The governor's Nourish New York program, the fact that several municipalities in the country received CARES Act money on Long Island. It's the town of Hempstead, and we've all been following that story. But that's resulted in significant amounts of funding coming in, and that's what's going to allow us to continue to do what we're doing for the next 6 months, maybe the next 8 months. And that just keeps going. We are literally looking at our best numbers in the last 13 years with our direct mail campaign. As was mentioned earlier, one of the other aspects of our work that ceased as a result of COVID-19 were food drives. It impacted the HIA summer food drive. It impacted, other food drives that schools host to support us, or that some local elected officials host to support us. That was immediately taken off the table. But while it was taken off the table, it didn't stop. We simply moved into this virtual food drive model, partnering with the company YouGiveGoods.com, and we put everything on that platform, knowing that people could begin their own crowdfunding page. They could link it to You Give Goods. They could buy as little as 1 can of tuna fish, or they could buy a $50 box to feed a senior for a week. And people responded to that tremendously. We've brought in over 150,000 pounds of food, all sort of custom tailored to what we're doing. So we get a lot of diapers. We get a lot of PPE that way. We get a lot of proteins that way that are coming in. And that's been pretty successful. So maybe in June, the food drive numbers weren't that high, but in May they were. We'll see what July brings. But I do know that I saw a press release last week from You Give Goods that we broke the record in just the first 4 months of this food drive for them. They're delivering here 3 times a week. I see the boxes in the warehouse. So, we adjusted. We moved from the regular food drive with the box and us picking it up to the virtual food drive. I think the biggest challenge for us right now is the 25 locations that we're distributing food from. There are days they're tremendously busy, and there are days where, maybe 4 or 5 families come. And so, we're watching it. What we are watching now going up is the distribution of food boxes and the purchasing of food. We are purchasing right now 40% more than we purchased 4 months ago. For instance, I can actually give you a number.
That was a question I was going to ask. I assume, and I'm glad you're getting a lot of the donations in a different fashion, but I assumed you were out buying more food.
Yeah, we've, to date, for the first 6 months, we've purchased 6.7 million pounds of food. Last year, it was 4.9, so it's almost 2 million more pounds. It's about 36%, but the need is up about 39%. One of the big challenges we've had in the last 4 months is getting the food here fast enough. What some people don't realize about Long Island Cares is that the way we operate, we purchase about 75% of all the food that we distribute here, whether we're purchasing it through our state contract or we're accessing federal commodities through the USDA. We purchase the majority of food. Food drives represent about 23% of all the food that comes into Long Island Cares.
I thought it would be more. I thought it would be higher.
That's all it is. And what happened is the supply chain is backed up 6 to 8 weeks. I can purchase food today, Monday, and on any given day, it could probably be here by next Tuesday. Now, whatever I purchase today, we're hoping comes here in August. I mean, we've seen some estimates right now, depending upon the product, that we won't get it until September. But today was a good day because I pulled in here at 7 o'clock and there were 6 tractor trailers lined up on David's Drive waiting to get in here. So that's going to be able to propel us for the next few weeks. We'll be okay.
I think we see that. My wife complains, even in the supermarket, things like pasta and rice and things that staples you'd find on the shelf all the time that are bare. So I can only imagine what that lead time is to get that food, and if you can get all that food purchased or donated. What could people such as an individual like me, not a large corporation, what could we do to help Long Island Cares and the not-for-profits right now? Do you need help in volunteering? Do you need donations of food? Do you need donations of money, or all of it?
It's probably all of it, but we're trying to do it in such a way that people are enjoying giving. I'll give you some examples. We pack food boxes here in our warehouse, about 3,000 to 4,000 of them a week. And I guess it was the beginning of May, we started to open up again for small groups of volunteers, no more than 10 people. This way we can create an environment in the warehouse where people have the PPE, they can socially distance, and they can just move out these food boxes on a conveyor belt right into the truck, and the volunteers seem to really like that. We've also done some special food box packaging in the evening from like 5 to 8, and we've had ample volunteers come in and do that. Tomorrow, we're opening up another location in Nassau County specifically to pack food boxes. We took over a storefront in Bethpage, and volunteers are already signed up for the next 3 weeks. So anyone that wants to join the food packing line, we welcome them to come and volunteer. You can either volunteer in Hauppauge, or you could volunteer in Bethpage. We do have community volunteers at the 19 distribution sites that we opened up within the town of Hempstead. We've hired 19 people just to do those locations. So that's an opportunity for people to get involved. If somebody wants to sponsor a food drive, they can do that online, virtually, through yougivegoods.com. You just have to log on, search for Long Island Cares. It'll ask you whether you want to support the existing food drive or you want to create your own. And you can do that. You could also, create a GoFundMe page if you wanted to raise money. So there are a lot of opportunities for people to get involved and, help us out during these times.
Just getting back to know you a little bit, your philosophy in running your organization, again, for someone to get that kind of buy-in from your employees to continue to work and appreciate and know that the need is there and how important everyone is involved in that engine that makes Long Island Cares go and helps those in need, those that are food deprived. What kind of philosophy? You get up every morning, you drive 25 miles, you get to think about what you're going to do for the day. Do you go in as an optimist every day? That
pretty much
this
so.
is going to be a wonderful day no matter what, and you're going to do what you can to make sure the people around you feel the same way?
Well, for me, it's very important for my staff to see me out in the warehouse, on the trucks, in the community, to let them know that I would never ask anyone who works here at Long Island Cares to do something that I myself wouldn't do. So I try to set the example. There's also the fact that we spend a lot of time as a staff informally and sometimes formally in staff meetings talking about innovation. What can we do next to move the organization forward? There really isn't another food bank in the country that has this satellite model that we been utilizing now for the last 11 years. We've consulted with some food banks across the country on it and what we've done, but none of them have duplicated it yet. And yet here I am, immediately opening up, transitioning into this COVID response March 13th, and already had 6 locations that we can distribute food from. I didn't have to reinvent everything. It was immediately, we're changing the satellite focus. This is what we're doing. So that's very important, that you listen to your staff, that you spend time talking to them, that it's not just that you're approachable, you're accessible. I think staff knows that they are the most important asset that this organization has. All the money, all the food, all the recognition really doesn't mean much unless you have a good infrastructure. And I'm very, very fortunate with the people who work here. We have people that have been here 20 years, 15 years. Many are young people that have chosen to make Long Island Cares their career. So, all of us here sort of have this same DNA where we like to be challenged about what we're doing. So, we're not put off by the pandemic. The question is, what can we do to make it easier for, well, now the 74,000 people that have turned to us in the past 4 months for food assistance. And, I think, we've had the opportunity to work with both counties quite actively over the years. I like to think that it's our culture here that attracted the town of Hempstead to reach out to us. Same was done with the town of Babylon and Huntington and Freeport, Suffolk and Nassau County, the city of Long Beach. And it was, can you open up a distribution center? Yeah, give me a location and we'll do it. And in many cases, we did it within 15 minutes. It was done.
Fabulous.
So we did it.
Before we get into any Q&A, could you just talk a little bit about the new, fairly new program, the Suffolk Cares program, where they're using
Sure.
the 311 dial-in to, I guess, to get food delivered to those in need?
Yeah, it's a wonderful program. I have to really hand it to County Executive Balone. The county is working with all the townships. Look, there's a lot going on in terms of where you can get food. As I said, there are 320 locations you can get food 6 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
But then there is a segment of the population that can't go to their local pantry.
Right.
So you're talking about homebound seniors. You're talking about people with disabilities. You're talking about elderly veterans who are disabled, who can't get out. And so County Executive Balone reached out to us a couple of months ago and said, I know you're delivering food to seniors. I know you're giving food to the homeless. I know you're doing some outreach to veterans. Do you think if we came up with a system by which people needed home delivery of food, they can call 311. The 311 number would automatically jump to Long Island Cares. We would vet the individuals who are calling and in need, and we would respond to that. And so since we started last month, we've done about 360 visits. In some cases, the township is taking care of the visits, like in Brookhaven and other townships. Islip didn't have the staff to do it, so we picked it up. We're happy to do it. But all of us have been making those deliveries, including myself.
Really?
Yeah, and it's really good getting out there. You have the mask on, you're at someone's apartment door. If they can bring the box in, great. If not, you bring it in. You spend 10 minutes talking to them. You find out what they need. Maybe there's something they need that we didn't know about, so we'll bring it the next time.
Right.
So
Sometimes they just needed someone to talk to, too, for a few minutes.
Absolutely.
I mean, people are cooped up. If they can't get out to a food pantry, they're probably cooped up in quarantine or sheltering in place, so they need someone to talk to.
Absolutely, and that's been a very important part of this program. the fact that all these mobile deliveries we're doing give us an opportunity to talk to people, to find out what's going on, how they feel, where their families are, what they need. And it's a very special relationship, and it works. And you're 100% correct. So many seniors have self-quarantined and are not going out, that this one visit they get every other week or once a month
Right.
is very important to them because they're talking to people.
It certainly sounds like your Long Island Cares in this particular time is reinventing themselves. So I would say that you're going to take some of these lessons you're learning now, and the future probably will be even bigger and better and brighter for Long Island Cares. Would you not agree? I mean, it's going to be, the future is going to be always challenging.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's got to be bright for Long Island Cares and under your leadership.
Well, we're more than gratified at the response that we've received for our work. And, the fact that government, corporations, foundation have confidence in our ability to get through this crisis together, that says a lot to me. It says a lot to our entire staff. So we're happy with what we've been doing. We're not going to change anything. Our hope now is that as the months go by, we see a reduction in the number of people in need as some of them go back to work. Maybe by September, we're down to 20 distribution sites instead of 25. It depends. All is going to be determined on things that we really have no control over.
Very true. Very true. So you're going to be around for quite a while longer for Long Island Cares. You're not grooming anyone, but what would you say if someone decided maybe corporate is not the way they want to go, maybe not the private sector, but they want to go into a not-for-profit? That's where their heart and their head really steers them. What would you say? Just give them, if you had to, if you could and you haven't, or you wanted to mentor someone, what would you talk to them about? What are the benefits? And some of it is not necessarily monetary all the time, but it's more just the fact that you gave and you get a good feeling about what you do, helping others. So if you were going to mentor someone, what would you advise them?
Well, the first thing you really have to determine, is this what the person wants to do? Help people, in a very unique way,
Right.
Whether it's, counseling in a mental health program, or, working with young children, or working with seniors. If you really have this passion to help people in need, then, and you're able to be, motivated by this passion that you have, then you do it. You don't think twice about it. You said it in a not a roundabout way, you sort of alluded to it. One of the things that people will not get, and they shouldn't expect, entering the nonprofits, is the for-profit sector's salary and benefits. You just don't get there. You may get there after 20 years, after 25 years, but it's not right off the bat. Historically, the nonprofits pay decent salaries with competitive benefits. We've been on a quest here now for the last 3 years to up salaries for everyone across the board, to get them to the level, we were paying $15 an hour long before the governor made it fashionable to pay $15 an hour. So now the quest is, we want to pay $17 an hour. We want to make sure. I happen to pay our truck drivers better than some of the trucking companies in this park pay theirs, because I know how important they are to the operation, and I need to keep them. The last thing I want is a revolving door of truck drivers, because they're so important to us and the operation. So, we look at salaries, we look at opportunity, we look at titles, we look at what kind of perks we're able to provide to our staff that make them feel good about, coming to work and doing the job. The reason we were able to deal with the first month or two and a lot of people remotely working is because we had the technology infrastructure available to us. And if we didn't, we then had the funds available to make it happen. So, you know, for people in the corporate sector that may be looking for a second career, to choose the nonprofits, if this is what's in your heart to do it, then you should do it. It's fun.
I would agree. I would
It's
agree.
rewarding.
No question about it. No question about it. As he says it with a big smile, I give you a lot of credit. I'm gonna go, it looks like we had 3 questions, but 2 of them look like they're really just comments. So the third or the first question, how does Long Island Cares interact with other food banks? For example, Island Harvest.
Well, Island Harvest is another food bank, and you know we're certainly communicating with them during this whole COVID-19. We're aware of the model that they're employing. You know, we also work very closely with all of our agencies. You know, we have some large ones out there that really stand on their own. The Interfaith Nutrition Network has been around as long as Long Island Cares has been around. We work with Pronto, with Adelante, Heart of the Hamptons. You know, we work with everyone. We're happy to work with other people. Look, this is a very small area here.
Yes.
Long Island, it's 2 counties. You know, what's going on in New York City, what's going on in Miami, what's going on in LA, I don't think that's what's going on Long Island. I think it's a little less, maybe a little better organized, but we're happy to work with anyone. You know, as long as we feel we're accomplishing something, we're happy to collaborate with anybody.
I think it's so important because you're looking to all achieve a similar common goal. So I think it's so important that you work together. So I'm glad you do.
But I also, you know, I have to look at it another way, and that is I respect everybody's right to be different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I worked in the mental health system for 29 years. There were 23 mental health clinics. Not everyone did the same stuff. Not everyone, you know, addressed PTSD or, you know, family counseling. Everybody was unique. They did their thing. So we recognize that. And, you know, right now, I think it's incumbent upon all of us in the nonprofit sector to work together. I sort of moved out of my little box of food insecurity last week and started talking about the long-term mental health needs that this region is going to have. In a meeting with the governor's representatives in Albany on a conference call, I spoke very little about food insecurity. I spoke more about the long-term mental health needs of the region, because I can give you food and you're going to get filled and you're going to be okay. And maybe 5-6 days later, you're going to go to another pantry and get more food. Long-term mental health issues that people are going to experience as a result of COVID-19 aren't going away so fast.
Yeah.
And we need to be prepared.
And they may be far-reaching. We really don't know. So I think you're right on target with that. With that, I'm going to close. Paul, on behalf of the HIA-LI, I'd like to thank you and Long Island Cares for all that you do to help those that are food deprived and in need. And now I'll turn it over to Anthony. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Paul. And, you know, one of the comments, Paul, that were in the Q&A was something I was going to say, and Bob did say, is that how your personality, how you take everything so even-keeled but you get the job done. And I just want to tell the audience, don't mistake that for not being very passionate, because Paul is one of the passionate people I know. So it's a thank you both. You did a great job, Bob, moderating.
My pleasure.
That was wonderful. So we do have some upcoming events, programs coming up. July 16th, we have a new prospective member information meeting. You could register right through our website. Then another program that we're really excited about is on July 22nd, which is on Eventbrite. We're going to talk about travel, tourism, the airport, what is the look of a vacation now, or state vacation, as they say. So we have a pretty impressive panel, including Angie Carpenter and Kristen Jardigan and Shelley Rose from the commissioner of the airport, talking about different things that's going on. And then last but not least, we're very excited. On August 6th, we're going to have a little different type of presentation by Coach Dana Cavilla. That coach was on the championships 1978 Yankees, and he was the strength coach for Derek Jeter, Rivera, and also A-Rod. And he's going to give his motivational type of speech on keeping yourself well, not only physically, but what Paul elaborated to, mentally in this time we're in right now. So those are the upcoming programs. I urge everyone to register. And once again, I want to thank you, Paul, for everything you leadership and everything you do for Long Island. And thank you, Bob.
Quite welcome. Thank you. Have a great day.
Stay safe, everyone.
All right, you too.